Never did I think that I would actually be making this video. This is definitely truly one of those phenomenons that almost seems too good to be true. But here we are. Stay tuned. Four years ago, I lost my Hubsan H501s, which was my first GPS drone. It was my second drone that I had ever purchased, ever owned and flown. What makes that drone really special is it was actually the first drone I ever owned that actually had a decent amount of following on it on YouTube. And I was actually able to get connected with a lot of people in the drone community through that drone. So you can quickly see how that drone became so very special and important to me. Did some modifications on it, tried to make it better, push the limits, and I didn't have it very long before I was already like, okay, how can I make this thing better? How can I get this thing to perform better range? So I started doing some range testing. Started doing some modifications on the controller, trying to get a little bit more out of it. And I had done a successful range test a couple times, but decided that I really wanted to push the envelope and really just see how far I could actually get with it. I went out to a very isolated spot out to Slaughter Beach, where there's not a lot of Wi-Fi interference, there's not a lot of trees blocking the path between me and the quadcopter. I thought it would be an excellent area to do a range test, and that's why I chose that spot. So, excited as I was, I went out and I did the range test. And little did I know at the time that when I was flying this quadcopter, the battery, there was definitely something wrong with the battery. Even though I had charged it completely to full, it wasn't any kind of a hobby grade charger on this. This was just a basic plug in the wall charger that came with the drone, nothing special. And I didn't know that at the time when I took off that the battery was going to deplete as fast as it did. The wind picked up as I was in the middle of this range test, and as I was getting further away from myself, I noticed that the video was kind of starting to get worse and worse. And the reason that is because while I thought the drone was heading straight out in front of me, it was actually heading off to the right of me. So the whole time I have the controller, what I think is facing towards the drone to get the best optimal video and control sync link, I'm actually pointing it in the wrong direction. So I start getting further and further out there, the video's getting really bad, the wind's picking up, and I'm like, man, I think I need to go ahead and hit that return to home. So being a rather new drone pilot in the hobby, I hit the return to home button because that's kind of like that fail-safe we like to fall back on. You run into a problem, you know, hit that return to home, the drone will fly back to where it took off, and all is well. All wasn't well. The drone never came back. I waited for it and waited for it, and the video completely went away, and the drone never came back. So it was a really hard hit to me. I was very upset. It was a loss. It was my first big loss in the hobby. Anybody that's been in the drone hobby for any amount of time knows that, you know, losing a drone is definitely not a good feeling. It can be discouraging, to say the least. But this was my first drone loss, so it was definitely an emotional roller coaster. But I was determined that we would be able to find that quadcopter. So I took the last GPS coordinates that were on the controller, and I made sure I took a picture of it and actually went onto the Google Earth, typed in the coordinates, and got an exact location of where those last coordinates actually were. So went back myself looking for it with no luck. got a hold of a really good friend of mine. He's actually one of the ones that actually pushed me into the drones. My good buddy Mike Gress. Gress had all the coolest drones at the time. He had the DJI Map Pro. He had the Phantom 3 Standard. He had the Phantom 3 Pro. These at the time were like top of the line consumer drones that were far above and beyond, what I was flying at the current time. So we went back and took his drones. We scoured the lands looking with no luck. There happened to be a farmhouse there where the drone had went down, and I attempted to contact the owner of the property to see if they would be okay if we looked for the drone. No one was there. Knocked on the door, nobody answered, so I went ahead and left a note. I left a note on the back door on the window, and it said, hi, my name is Eric Marvel, and I lost a drone. I think it's somewhere, on the property. This is my phone number. Please, please let me know if you do end up finding it. I think it was about a day later, I actually got a phone call from not the owner of the property, but someone who looks over the property for the farmer that owned the property. Really, really good guy. Called me up, said, hey, I completely understand, I'm sorry to hear about you losing the drone. I'm going to go ahead and try to find it myself with my gator. I'm going to hop on the gator and drive around the property, and we're going to find it. We got to be able to find it, So, really appreciated that he actually helped me try to look for it. However, after hours of searching on the gator and on foot, and my buddy and his drones, we were unable to locate the Hubsan H501s. So he had called me back, said, hey, I was unable to find it. I did look for it. I'm sorry. If we ever do stumble across it, we'll give you a call and make sure we get it back to you. So the years went on, 4 years to be exact. 4 years later, I get a phone call from that same guy that was looking over the farm.
Hey, Eric, this is down at Slaughter Beach. We found your drone. You lost a drone down here by the beach on the farm. If you're interested, give me a call.
And I'm keeping his name out of the video just for privacy reasons. But one heck of a guy. He actually still had my phone number and remembered that I had lost that drone. Well, the farmer was out hunting the grounds, and he had been hunting these grounds for the past 4 years and never stumbled across it. Just so happened to be walking on the right path at the right place at the right time and stumbled across the Hubsan H501s 4 years later in the grass. So he picked it up. He called the guy that looks over the farm. Hey man, didn't you say that guy lost a drone, a while back? So he ended up calling me, the guy that looks over the farm. He ended up calling me, letting me know that the drone had been found 4 years later. He said it didn't look like it was in that bad a shape, other than the motors were rusted out. He said, the micro SD card's still in there, so there might be a chance that, you might have some footage on there. So I was ecstatic when I got the phone call. I couldn't believe it that 4 years later the drone had been found. So this is the end of that chapter, guys. The Hubsan H501s has been found and returned to me. I was able to get the micro SD card out of it, and even better, I have the last flight footage of that drone before it was lost. So yeah, went ahead and cleaned it up, got the SD card cleaned up, pulled the footage out, looked it over, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe we never found it because of where it actually went down. It went down in a spot that I think that we could have found it had we just been at the right place at the right time. But needless to say, 4 years later, it's been found, and I couldn't be happier. I actually want to ultimately take apart the Hubsan H501s, take the motors out, take all the electronics out, and I actually want to make it into a FPV drone. I feel like I owe it that much to this drone to be able to stand out in the elements for 4 years, 16 seasons, and still be able to retrieve the footage. That in itself is just a miraculous thing. So stay tuned to the channel. We're definitely going to be gutting that out and making it into an awesome FPV drone. Can't wait to bring you along for the ride on that journey. And I thank you guys so much. If you have been here since the beginning of the story and you've been hanging in there as a long-time subscriber, thank you so much. This is the end of the chapter that I never thought I'd be able to bring to the channel, to you guys. Anybody that's come along the way, I greatly appreciate you guys subscribing to the channel and supporting me for all these years, and even my new subscribers that have just tuned in for this part of the story. So thankful for each and every one of you guys. I'm glad I was able to bring you this story and show you the last flight footage of the Hubsan H501s. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please, please like, share, and subscribe. And there's going to be more eventually. Hubsan H501s FPV modified drone footage to come on the channel. Stay tuned for that. And until next time, guys. E-Drone out.